Oh, you didn't know? Well, you better call somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Front Row Material proudly brings to you the hottest podcast tandem in the world, the real deal Ritt, the Rockstar Renegade, 6 degrees of Ritt and Renegade.
And if you're not down with that, I've got 5 words for you. Let's get ready to ramble!
Yes,
Damn.
sir. And we're back.
Yeah. Little week vacation. The whole Front Row Material brand was off last week. Man, Renegade.
Yes, sir.
You're looking sharp.
That's right. And you know why? Because I got pow. Yes.
6 degrees of Ritt and Renegade. Man.
Yes, sir.
Looking good, looking fine. Tell the Jersey Devil what's going on, man. Renegade,
Oh, brother.
tell
Yes,
everybody how nice that hoodie is.
It is sharp. And I'll tell you, I got the sharp dressed man playing in my mind right now. It's old ZZ Top. You know, yeah, it looks, I don't know why on here it looks orangish, but it is like fire engine red. It is red. But it's nice. Fits nice. Looks nice. Look at that.
Love it. Man, and if you want a 6 degrees of Ritt and Renegade or any of our Front Row Material products, head on over to brainbustertees.com/other/front-row-material and pick up one of our fine quality products. We've got, of course, 6 degrees of Ritt and Renegade. We've got FRM Pod, the stamp, and the Ritt and Freeland shirts. We also have the Cult of Beardo book. I'm still waiting for you to buy one. And Future Stars Now. So, guys, we've got beanies, we've got hoodies, we got zip-ups, T-shirts, masks. We've got them all. Head on over there. Get yourself one.
I got to work on getting me a Cult of Beardo one now just to rep, both shows.
Yes, exactly. Hashtag no coupons. But hey, Jersey Devil, I really don't care. As you can get a coupon, 30% off, 15% off, whatever it is. As long as you're repping the merch, I'll take a little something out of my pocket. So, Renegade. Been a week.
It has.
So, yeah, there we go. Just buy the shit. So Renegade.
If ever there was a tagline, now they're going to be flying off the shelves.
So, hit us up. What do you want to go down the rabbit hole tonight and talk about?
I kind of want to talk about everybody's favorite time in wrestling, the Attitude Era. And the reason I want to talk about it is because it's something that's been in the back of my mind for a while now, and wondering if something, maybe not necessarily in WWE, but something like the Attitude Era, could something like that exist today? Would it work? The climate that we're in, for all things said, some sensitivities. Would people have bigger issues with the way things kind of went down in the Attitude Era? Certainly, I don't think you have to go as far as some of the things that they did. But you would be fooling yourself if you didn't say that it worked, right? Almost everything about it worked. Almost every performer during that time was interesting. push the limits. Everybody had their time to shine. Like a lot of people stood out, and I sort of feel like part of the reason for that is because they were allowed to be themselves. They were allowed to bring themselves into their character. They had maybe some more freedoms than what you have today. And I think in allowing the performers to add an element of themselves into their character, it's so much better than being fake, than being somebody you aren't, and being forced to be portray a person that you aren't really all the way in on. I think that aspect would work today, but how far could you go? That would be the question.
Okay, well, let's talk gimmicks. Attitude Era. I'm just gonna sit there and I'm gonna rapid fire right to you. You say yes or no. Val Venus.
Am I saying okay? So I'm saying
yes
based on where we are today,
based
would
on
that
where
character
we
work?
are today, that character working today.
It would. It would not fly.
The Godfather.
Also no.
Kai and Tai.
Yes, except for the choppy pee part. Everything else about them, was fine. You had what the other thing, Indeed, and all that stuff. Except for, I don't know, maybe people would have an issue with the way they were portrayed, as Asians and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe that's a tough one.
Sexual Chocolate. We're gonna throw it up there for Jersey Devil.
Maybe some parts of it would. I think it's not all cut and dry. It's not all. There is some aspects of maybe that thing with Mae Young would not go.
Yes. Degeneration X.
Not
the original DX.
No, not that one. Not that one. As you could see, what it was like, the second formation of it, or I guess the third formation, the return of the original, was nowhere near the ballpark of what they were in the late '90s. So, but a lot of the stuff that they did, no, it wouldn't fly today.
Right to Censor.
I sort of feel like they are the people who would make that. So it was almost like that faction has sort of come to life now. It's like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. So, okay. How about let's go storylines in the Attitude Era. Okay. Val Venus with Ryan Shamrock's sister.
No. That would people would have probably a problem with how that was handled. I'm sure.
I'm gonna throw it out there. We all know where it's going. Katie Vick.
Yeah, that's a big never gonna happen again.
How about we're saying Sable's bathing suit competition?
I don't know if you'll probably never see those bathing suit competitions again, any of them. But certainly what Sable did would never happen again. I'm not even sure how that. You remember what happened to Kat? It was after the
bubble wrap
matches. No. When she took her top off after a match, and word has it that she was supposed to be facing the opposite direction, where the camera was supposed to be somewhere else, but she was facing the camera, and I don't really know the exact happenings there, but something like that will never happen again. And not that it should, but they will be far removed from an incident like that from ever happening. Outside of a freak wardrobe malfunction or something, but.
Really wasn't Attitude Era, but how about Billy and Chuck?
No, I don't even think something like that would fly today. And as comical as that group was, but
we're gonna throw up there for Jersey Devil, Sable and Trish with Mr. McMahon.
None of the stuff McMahon did with any of those was what he had Stacy Keibler dance for him.
Yep.
One time, like none of that stuff. None of that stuff would everything like that would be an issue. But I guess at the root of all this, it's not really. I understand that those. I'm almost answering my entire question here. But at the root of this, it's. I understand in televised wrestling on the main channels, Raws and SmackDowns. You'll never see that again. I guess the root of my question is there a space for it? Could there be a space for something like that in an arena like a Netflix or, some even deeper into the WWE, the online thing, the vault or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I guess what my thing is what makes the Attitude Era different than what we're seeing today? Is it because Vince, WWE now is a public traded company that they can't do that because of they have people to answer to? Would it be the backlash of everybody, the sponsors that they might lose for doing that stuff? Because look at stuff in the 80s, an old NWA, man, like some of those storylines, some of those, wrestlers got gritty, one of my favorite things is when Dusty was getting beat up in the cage by all the horsemen. And then all of a sudden, like, all the fans just rushed the cage to let the horsemen out. And I remember Arn talking on his podcast. He's like, I was legitimately scared of my life. He's like, I looked at Telly and said, we're not making it out of here. Because then they believed in the character. Nowadays, you don't believe in nothing. And it's a shame. So
right.
I don't know. Like the Road Warriors turning heel when they took one of their spikes off their pads and drove it right into Dusty's eye. I do not see it that going over today.
No, you can't do hardcore matches. You can't have blood. You can't. You got to watch the language. You can't do overly sexual things. So you strip all that away, and there's really nothing left there. But you even think about take all those things mentioned away from the Attitude Era, right? What was left, right? The stories and the characters. And how does that different from today? Like you said that the characters were more believable then. You believed in them more, even not just the Attitude Era, but even in the past. I think a lot of that's because of the freedom that they had.
Yeah, just to think for a quick instant, the oddities, like would something like that happen today, and people believe it, would you believe it?
Not today. It was great when it happened, but not today. Not today. It wouldn't go. And who do you have? Who do you find to portray those kind of characters now?
Yeah, the Attitude Era was special because it was just on the brink. You had ECW. A lot of people say the Attitude Era came from ECW because they pushed the envelope. Well, I guess you could kind of fast forward from Attitude Era till now, and if you want to get a little hint of what would happen, go in and watch ECW, and then watch ECW when they went to TNN. It changed. They couldn't do the hardcore matches that they were known for. They had to tone everything down to get local like national televised company to be behind them, the sponsorships and everything. There were times when, Paul would wait till the last minute to send TNN their tape for the week, and they look at it, they're like, we can't play this, so they play a rerun of a previous few matches from years ago. So just look at what ECW, they were known for one thing and had to change, had to adapt to be able to get that national exposure that they wanted.
Does that say anything about WWE now? You think they became too big for their britches? You get so big. Go back in the day, like the 70s, NWA, the Attitude Era, things like that. There was a rebelness to, or even rebelliousness, or whatever the word is, to wrestling. It was outlaws. It was bad boys. It was big, giant, tough guys throwing each other around. But I think in the company getting so big, you almost become the thing that you kind of are rebelling against in a way. And now you're part of the problem. You're too big, for your britches. You can't. There's no going back. Somebody else now has to be the rebel and rebel against what you've become. Maybe that's what AEW is going to be. But I just think like WWE's no longer what represents what wrestling was. No longer represents that outlaw business, the gritty, like watching it with your grandfather smoking cigar and drinking whiskey and wow, watch these guys slam each other around. That's gone. Those days are gone. Now they're that big corporation, and they've lost the luster of what wrestling is supposed to be.
Yeah, man, just look. WWE's their demographic they key on now is more for children. Because of course it's kind of smart. You get the children. How do you get the children in? They got to bring a parent. So they want to make it more children friendly, where AEW is trying to be everything WWE's not. And it makes them different. It makes them the alternative, to where they have blood on their shows. You would never see, if they get busted open, it's because of, they got hard weighed. Complete accident. You would never see that. A couple weeks ago, Hangman Page took on Brian Danielson for the AEW title. Both men bloody battered, because it's. I always loved what Dusty said. You get color when you need it. Don't make it, all the time thing. But AEW sometimes they take advantage that they are allowed to do it because they're privately owned by Tony Khan. And it becomes who's getting busted open this week type of thing. Instead of, something special that they have.
Yeah, anything overdone is just loses the appeal. It's what a lot of people would say about doing a nude scene in a movie is if it advances my character, I'll do it. if it advances the story. Although I never see a situation where it ever needs to do that. But
oh, wait a minute here. Swordfish, Holly Berry got paid buku money for a quick little boob shot.
But if they took that out of the movie, would it alter the story of the movie at all?
Well, me now?
You could argue whether it would have done as well, but would it have altered the story at all?
13, 14-year-old me needed that scene.
I need the blue pills.
I sit there and was pausing that thing. Oh, there he goes.
No, what I mean is, and I'd have to go back and watch that movie again, but I think if you remove that scene, it doesn't do anything, doesn't change the story of the movie at all. But that is what it is. What I mean is, use, like you said, use the blood when it's necessary. It tells the story. If Austin wasn't bleeding in that Bret Hart match, you don't have as much that if this added so much more drama to
that is
moment.
one of the most iconic pictures in wrestling history. Bret and the sharpshooter, Ken Shamrock there, looking at him, and Stone Cold, arching back, blood pouring down. It was needed.
Absolutely. And you're never going to have a moment like that now. Maybe in AEW you will, but if the blood's overdone, it's never going to matter. But in WWE, you'll never have a moment like that again, where a guy's in a hold and he's bleeding so much that he passes out because they can't bleed anymore. They'll stop the match and clean the guy up. You'll never have a moment like that again.
Okay. Let's go back. What's that movie where the lady's uncrossing her legs? I'll have what
Basic Instinct. Yeah.
If that part of the movie never happens, and that, my friend, is the most iconic part of that movie. If that part does not happen, do you go watch the movie at all? Oh, here we go.
Well, you would have to know that it's in the movie. In order, if that's your key motivation for watching that movie, then you already know that scene's in the movie. Then you may go watch it. But which I'm sure once that movie was out and people heard about that, you have probably had an influx of people going to rent that sucker. But
I could never get a copy of it when I was younger.
I did own it at one point, but I don't think I do anymore.
No, you switched over to the DVD.
I think I had it on DVD. It's not an amazing movie, but it's not a bad. Again, there's another movie. That's something you probably can't get away with today. Well, maybe you can. I don't know. Outside of a adult film, but the Attitude Era and
I'm not really familiar with this movie, Renegade. What about you?
I've not seen it either, but I know of the kind of the gist of the movie. I think I know this. Is that the? Are you trying to seduce me, Mrs. Robinson? I have sort of an idea of the scene in question, but
for some reason, I'm just picturing Mrs. Doubtfire, not Mrs. Robinson.
That would be a whole different. If he uncrossed his legs.
Hey, Lou.
Yeah, hello indeed.
Yeah.
That's not a woman, that's a man, baby. So, but all this talk about the Attitude Era and the things we may never see again in wrestling, it's depressing because you think about all the other things we may never see again. What generation is ever going to have another Elvis? What generation's ever going to have another Michael Jackson? When are you ever going to have the Beatles again? It's sad because everything is so watered down and overdone, and things that certain people loved are being taken away that you can't love it anymore because other people don't.
Other people are offended.
which is a shame. My whole argument is if you don't like it, then don't watch, right? Don't ruin it for other people. Don't be that person. You know, just don't watch it. You know, some of the movies from when we were kids, right? You take the Ninja Turtles and Batman, right? So you have 1990, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ones, the very first one where they're got people in suits and stuff like that. A great movie. It's by far my favorite Turtles movie. You have that movie come out, and parents complain that it's too violent. So you have Turtles 2, and now Michelangelo, instead of using nunchucks, is hitting people with sausage links. It changed the dynamic of the movie because people were upset. Be a better parent. Don't let your kids watch it. Or if you watch it first, then
it's in the name of the movie. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right. Well, the origin in the comics, they were much more violent and dark.
Yeah.
So that movie was kind of like a mix of the more violent comics and a little bit more closer to, goofy, fun family movie.
Let's go because I know where you're going with this next one.
The Batman?
Yes.
So you have 89 Batman comes out.
Michael Keaton. Best Batman ever.
Jack Nicholson. And he's back. And he's back. Yeah, so that movie is great, right? It's violent, Batman kills. I don't have an issue with that. I'm not one of those people that's like, Batman has a rule, he doesn't kill people. That's not my Batman. I like my Batman closer to kind of what the Punisher is. Let Superman be the guy that's like, I don't kill people.
Jersey Devil's throne. Kevin Nash was also in Turtles 2, so we can blame him for that too. Well, what was worse? Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off with the Batman thing because I really want you to get there.
We'll get back.
What was worse for Kevin Nash? Oz or being Super Shredder?
Oz. Super Shredder was kind of cool. I mean, when you're a kid, right? It was what? When did that movie come out? 92?
92, 93.
I was like 12. So Super Shredder was cool. If I was to sit down and watch that movie now, I'd be like,
I think it was 93 because Vanilla Ice was still hot. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
That ice has far since melted, but I mean, Super Shredder wasn't all that bad, but it fit into the story of the movie with them getting into the ooze and all that stuff. But back to Batman. So the 89 Batman, big success. They come back to do the sequel, and Batman Returns comes out, and it's just about as dark as the first one. But
I love that Penguin, got Catwoman in there. It was a darker side. I liked it. Mm-hmm. And then what happens, Renegade?
McDonald's puts out a toy line, and parents freak out when they get the McDonald's toys and they see Batman Returns. It's too violent. And McDonald's pulls the toys, and it nixed the third Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman movie. They decided to go in a different direction with Joel Schumacher and
Val Kilmer. What the hell were they thinking? Not saying that he's the worst Batman.
No, by far not the worst Batman.
George Clooney, worst Batman.
No, Batman himself.
I like Adam West more than I like George Clooney.
George Clooney was about as bland can be.
I liked Lego Batman over George Clooney.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, it was bad. Those movies were bad.
What's up with those nipples?
I don't know. I don't know. It's
nipples on the
unsettling. Suit. Unsettling. I don't see what purpose they serve at all. It's like bat milk squirted out of him or something.
For a minute, I honestly thought that maybe he had on Batgirl suit.
Maybe he was experimenting. Who knows? But that's the kind of the issue is a lot of these things, your attitude errors, your violent films. There's so many things that will never happen again. You're never gonna have a Blazing Saddles again. If I've never seen that movie, I know enough about it that they could never make that movie today.
No, they turned it to Brokeback Mountain.
Right? It is sad. Like,
what about going to late 90s Limp Bizkit? Like some of the stuff they were doing. You know, music. We're let's go Korn. You know, Rammstein only performs mostly overseas because of their concerts aren't suitable for the United States. You know,
correct. Yeah, I've seen some clips. I can't argue with that.
My buddy I used to work with, I took him to his first concert. It was Jackal. He loved it. And right as the pandemic hit, you know, well, before the pandemic hit, he went and told me, he goes, I got my next concert I'm going to. I'm like, sweet, where are you going? Jersey. To see who? Rammstein. You're going to get killed. He goes, what do you mean? I said, he goes, I love the music. I pulled up on YouTube. Mosh Pit Rammstein concert. I said, you're done.
Yeah,
that's just ridiculous. It's vicious. Oh my goodness, Jackal. I love me some Jackal. She loves my cock. I got a T-shirt on it. It's great. I barely wear it though because you know, forget that. Tomorrow I'm wearing it to work.
See, that's an era of music I don't think could ever happen again either. You know, the 80s.
Rock me, roll me, jackal me off. You can't say that at a concert anymore.
No. I mean, Jackal doesn't he do the bunny hop thing?
Yep.
The what is he, yanks his pants down or whatever and does
yep.
the bunny hop or whatever.
The lumberjack, he breaks out the chainsaw. Fantastic.
Certainly a controversial group. I have no issue with that, but the 80s as a whole, those hard rock bands like Girls in the Videos and songs about sex and drugs and partying and all those things, none of that stuff.
Oh my goodness!
People had a problem with "Baby, It's Cold Outside."
Hey, if they had a problem with that, what about "I Want Your Love, Sex"? I love that song.
George Michael?
George Michael.
Yeah.
You can't play that now.
No.
You can't play that now.
No.
Good Lord.
It's terrible, man. Like, what do we have to look forward to in the future? Well, what is the future look like? Right?
Hanson,
there's more things you can't do than things you're allowed to do.
Because you're afraid of what other people are going to say. Just live your own life. Just like what you said. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
That's right. That is right.
Motley Crue. Could not happen today.
No. Nope. No, sir.
Girls.
You mentioned Korn and Rammstein, Limp Bizkit. Are those, in your estimation, like, as far as music goes, the last of the rebels, the last of the envelope pushers in music? Like, sure, there's some people doing some kind of things today, but like, was that that felt to me like the last big outlaw movement in music of people just going for it, just doing the craziest off the wall stuff. And now, I don't know what's out there. I really don't. Who's doing anything that's original or
we went to see Limp Bizkit in concert back in the day.
Yeah, don't remind me. That is on the short list of the worst concerts I've ever been to. Matter of fact, it's so short, it's the only one on that list.
Really?
Family Values 99. Yeah, it was the worst concert I've ever gone to. Of all the concerts I've gone to, Worst one. Worst one.
I personally went myself for DMX, and of course he had to bail his people out. So, but there were some good people on the Seven Dust when they first started out.
I forgot they were part of that. Yeah. Was it Run DMC? Run DMC
was on there. Was Stain on there when they first started?
Stained, Filter, of course, Limp Bizkit was the headliner. Crystal Method, which that's a bathroom break for me.
Well, was that the techno one?
Yeah, laser lights, techno stuff. Yeah,
it wasn't.
Yeah. Crazy Town. Come, my baby, come, my baby.
You're my butterfly, sugar
baby. I don't know why I just wanted to go into the line. Too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt.
Cardi B WAP.
Maybe Cardi B. I mean, rap they've been doing that stuff forever.
But it's how much is too much? You know what I mean?
How far is too far too? That's that song. Certainly, if there was a line, you go, all right, that's too far. TMI.
It's about 7 days a week.
I should write the counter to that song just called TMI. So I don't know. I'm just depressed. Looking to the future of movies. Everything's a CGI film now. Looking to the future of music. I don't see any more. I don't see any more Motley Crues. I don't see any more Beatles. I don't see any more people just changing the game.
What about Kiss? Could you see Kiss surviving now with the, what's that one song? Lick It Up. Some of their songs were just out there.
Kiss has a lot of sexual songs. There's no doubt about that. But that would probably be the biggest problem with them. I don't think anything they do show-wise, their look, things like that, was really too controversial. The Spit and Blood, maybe somebody would have an issue with, but
maybe not, because look at what Megan Fox and who should get engaged to?
Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh my goodness! Like I don't understand. That's just crazy. They swapping blood now.
They can do whatever they want. I don't really, let them live their life, I guess. No really skin off my back. Yeah. If people don't have a problem with that, then I guess that anything Kiss did that no one have a problem with. But it really comes down to the songs and the lyrics and things like that. No one's going to be doing a Wingers 17 today. Of course,
no.
I don't know that you should, but it's just the landscape has changed, and it's in a way as so that where. Again, what I was saying about back in wrestling was they were rebels, they were outlaws. It was these dirty, tough guys coming in. It's like bar fighting almost in a way, especially back in the 70s. That NWA was almost like a bar fight in a ring.
Stan Hansen, Vader, the Blackjacks.
Yep. And there was a coolness to it. There was you almost felt like I shouldn't be watching this, but this is awesome.
It's the same thing when you first watch ECW. Francine out there. Mm-hmm. So some of the chants, "She's a crack whore," you would never hear that now.
It was alluring. You know me, I wasn't a huge ECW fan, but I would be flipping the channels late at night, a lot of times Saturday night, and I'd come across it. I'm watching. I'm stopping and watching because it's out there. It's different. It's like a train wreck. You're like, I can't look away. But there was an allure to it. The Attitude Era had an allure to it. Why? Because it was different. It pushed the envelope. You never knew what was going to happen. I think that's really the point of it. It was spontaneous. You never really knew what was going to happen next, and you watched all the way to the end. You know, it was a lot of school nights, man, on Raw. I'm sure Mom was like, "You guys need to go to bed. I need to see how Austin's going to get off that Undertaker symbol."
Yeah, and then all of a sudden Vince is like, "We're buying 5 extra minutes." Now all of a sudden, instead of 10 o'clock or when it went to 3 hours, 11 o'clock, man, now you got to kiss your parents' butt to stay up an extra 5 minutes.
I lived for that. I lived for that stuff. That it was a time that will probably never happen again. But my question would be: is there a place for it somewhere? Right? You have maybe a Netflix. Get a deal with like a streaming service.
HBO Max,
something like that. It doesn't even have to be WWE, right? Some other, like AEW could do an off-brand of their shows and do, because I would love to see like Raw Dark, right? Or like a Raw Max. So you have your basic cable Raw, okay, and things go as they do. But then you go, okay, this night, 2 hours on this streaming service, you have Raw Dark or Raw Max or Raw something, and it's more Attitude Era like. You probably have a whole different roster. It doesn't have to be the same. I don't expect to see Roman Reigns on Raw Dark, but give the fans that walked away from you because you've changed it up and watered it down. So give those older fans something to tune into. Okay, Monday Night Raw is not for me. I'm going to tune into this instead because this is more my speed.
Mm-hmm.
This is more what I want to see. Basically go back to wrestling for adults, or give us a kind of wrestling for adults.
Yeah, because you just like Jersey Devil said, you were pissed that they were cutting into La Fen Nikita.
Not gonna lie, I used to check that show out.
Oh man, we got Liam Savage.
What's going on, brother? So as a teenager, right? This was the dream time to watch television. So you had Monday Night Raw. What was after Monday Night Raw? Silk Stockings. Then you go past Silk Stockings into the USA Up All Night stuff. Come on, man.
Gilbert Godfrey.
I remember more Rhonda Shear. Gilbert, I think, took over after her.
Wait, Rhonda, was that the
blonde? She had blonde, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're getting at. I'm gonna let you stick with that one. But yeah, so like, what a great time to be a teenager.
So look now, okay, if they can't get the attitude. Thanks,
Liam picked up what you were laying down.
Thanks, Liam. But no, if you can't do what you did back then what are the point of some of these matches? Why are you going to have an elimination chamber when you sit there and you can't be as violent as you were like in the first elimination chamber? Why are we doing steel cage matches when you can't be busted open in them? Why do hardcore matches or street fights when you can't use the weapons you used to in the late 90s? There's no first blood match.
Yeah.
Like, why even do some of these things, some of these matches?
But think about it. You could do them on Raw Dark. There's your bloody steel cage matches. There's your first blood matches. There's your hardcore matches. I miss the hardcore 24/7 thing. You compare that to this 24/7 title. It's two different titles, but the same concept. It's garbage. Like, anyone can now win this title, but the hardcore 20 when it was 24/7 was entertaining, and
Look at TNA was able to do stuff like that for a little bit. Abyss's Monster Ball matches, but I think that was when they were on their weekly pay-per-views. Then they went to Fox Sports 1, which wasn't really that big of a show, a big platform for them. But as soon as they went mainstream and went on, where'd they end up going? Spike? Or Spike, TNT? And all of a sudden, they once you get to that mainstream platform, you had to sit there and simmer it down. Spike TV, yeah. You couldn't put out there what you wanted, just like ECW. I'm surprised AEW is getting away with what they are, but maybe it's because they are privately owned and they don't have no one to, ask questions.
Well, especially when they're not getting the ratings you would kind of hope for.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I saw a list somewhere where they weren't even top 5 wrestling in broadcasting somewhere. I forget what other thing. I've never heard of some of the other things ahead of them, but I don't think they're pulling in the ratings just yet of what they hope for, and maybe at some point the network says, maybe puts a kibosh on some of the things that they're doing, but more power to them. If they're trying, right, they're trying to kind of be that new outlaw. They're trying to be that new outside the box thinking organization that maybe sort of brings back the good old times in wrestling, because no one else is doing it, and it makes me hopeful. I'm hopeful, at least, that down the road one of these big corporations will say, let's reach out to the older fans and see if we can't bring them back. But right now, it doesn't even look like they're even thinking in that ballpark.
Well, but to bring them back, you're going to have to build stars, and
True.
WWE's is not very good at building them. They work on their top 3-4 guys, and that's it.
Well, when it comes to WWE, it's going to depend on who's in charge of it, right? Look what happened with NXT when Triple H was running it, right? It was hot. People were tuning in. Their stars were that he was pushing were getting huge reactions. Get called up to the main roster, and Vince destroys them. A story we've told so many times here. But it depends on who's running it, right? So Vince would have to have complete hands washed of whatever this new thing is. It has no input on it whatsoever. Give that to like a Jake Roberts. Well, I guess you can't now, but somebody like him, right? Give it to Scott Hall. Let Scott Hall kind of, he's got a good mind for the business. Something like that. Let him or somebody like that come in and take that over, maybe overseen somewhat by Triple H. If Triple H has nothing to do with NXT anymore, because they got rid of everybody he was putting in place.
Man, they even got rid of William Regal.
Yeah. So really, everything that Triple H was building, they tore down. So if that's not really his thing anymore, if Vince is taking that over too, give that project to him. Let him oversee that, because that has nothing to do with Vince's ratings as far as what he has to do with being a publicly traded company. It's not going to lose the sponsors. You may get a different crop of sponsors. I'm sure like a Manscaped or something would do like a sponsorship to
Guy to Goiteman.
Well, that product would have to exist for real to have a spot there. But you could probably bring in just a different style. People were throwing advertising to WWF when they were the Attitude Era before. They I forget what a lot of them were. I don't know why in my mind I'm thinking of this Karate Fighter commercials a lot. But
Liam Savage saying his Manscaped is on the way.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Liam. Well, when you getting some merchandise like Renegade there, show them the hoodie.
Yeah. Ow!
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, hey, good. Don't cut yourself there at that Manscaped stuff.
oh, man, the one thing I was interested, but I'm waiting for my promo items. What do you mean promo items? But Manscaped, they were giving away deodorant for your balls. That's kind of intrigued by that. Oh, A Train, some TNA. What would that have worked now? Testing Albert.
No. No, I don't. I think there's very little in the Attitude Era that would fly today that somebody wouldn't have some kind of problem with. But I hope that someday somebody comes along with the idea that they just give hope to the future of what we loved about the past. Because I know there's still people out there like us who love that stuff. You know, I'm a huge 80s hard rock fan. Have been since I was 15. And I'll probably never see an era like that in music again. At least I don't see it on the horizon. You know, we were teenagers in the Attitude Era. We'll probably never see something like that again. We came up on some pretty awesome 80s and 90s films. A lot you'll probably never see again. So I hope that someone can give me a glimmer of hope for the future that maybe we will see something like that down the road. Maybe something like that will come along again.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, it can't be from WWE. There's no way that they're ever going to turn it around. You know? Maybe AEW. You know?
I think they have a long road ahead of them. I do think they have to clean some things up. Pull back on the blood usage. You know, I would do that. Pull back a little bit on gimmick matches. Don't overdo those things either. But I think they'll find their way. They have a lot of good minds there and a lot of people who seem to really care about what they're doing over there. So I think they'll find their way. It'll take some time. You know, WWE even wasn't an overnight success. It took them a lot of years to really hit their stride. So, you know, we'll just have to be patient with them.
Yeah. So, but man, Liam says once Vince is dead. I don't know. I'm still thinking that there's a lot of talks about selling. And
but it's who they're going to sell to, right? What's the rumor? Disney? Worst thing ever.
Disney, and then there was another rumor. Somebody was The Rock was going to team up with. Who was it?
Would it just be his production company, maybe?
No. It's... Man, I can't remember. No, it was somebody. It wasn't his wife. It was another company that were talking about. Maybe it was HBO, where they were going to sit there, plan on purchasing it, but bring The Rock on to run things. I don't know if The Rock has a lot of time. He would have to not cut a lot of his stuff and pretty much stop acting to run this,
right?
Especially since he has the XFL coming up. So I don't know if The Rock would be willing to cut the movies out.
I mean, why quit? I mean, you could quit while you're ahead, unless his goal is to film literally every conceivable story that you could ever think of. Maybe that's his thing. Like whatever story, I'm just gonna hit them all. But if it's working, why stop? I guess. And there's a lot of uncertainty in taking over a new wrestling venture, right? You don't know if it's going to succeed. You don't know if people are going to accept it.
Do you think people go to WWE shows, live events, not because of the product, but just because of the name, and it's something that they know, they grew up on, and that's why they go?
Well, isn't that what they say about most sports? Is no one's bigger than the team, or no one's bigger than the Shield, whatever you call it. So I think that's what Vince always wanted. That's probably why he hated Hulkamania so much. Is the name was bigger than the brand, and he wanted the brand bigger than the names. I think that's probably why he doesn't create stars anymore. He doesn't want people. He doesn't want a single a wrestler to take over the business. He wants the business to be at the forefront. He wants that WWE logo to be at the forefront of everyone's thoughts. You're coming for the brand. You're not coming for the man or woman. You're not coming for a specific athlete. You're coming for the overall brand, and I think that's what he wants. And maybe that's what people are coming for. It's WWE. I'm going. WWE's in town.
Yeah. Well, you think about it when you're a kid. Like you didn't really know ECW, WCW, but if there was WWE, you knew that. Everybody does.
Yep.
So, Renegade, let's wrap this up. Some final thoughts on if the Attitude Era could manage itself this day and age.
It would have to be done right. It would have to be done in a specific avenue. It would not fly just to go back to it on your main roster. Which is upsetting. I subscribe to two rules. If you don't like it, turn it off, and don't be a dick. Those are the two things that I subscribe to the most.
But what if your name is Richard?
Don't be. But that's the whole thing. Is like leave people be, man. Leave people be. Leave things be. It just because you don't like it, someone else out there does. And why would you ruin it for them for something you don't even care about, right? A lot of these things that get boycotted, they don't actually care about them. I think it's just want to be a part of something, I guess. I don't know. But it's just let things lie. Turn it off. Don't watch it. Don't have anything to do with it, and go live your life.
So, well, Renegade, another episode in the books. This week on Front Row Material, we've got some great stuff coming up. Check it out. Head on over to twitch.tv/FRM pod, or head on over to our YouTube channel. Check out all of our great past guests and episodes from your shows of 6 Degrees of Ritt and Renegade, Cult of Beardo, Future Stars Now, and FRM Pod. This week we have Black G's, The Church's Money, on FRM Pod, along with O'Shea Edwards from Ring of Honor. Friday, we got Steve Pena on Future Stars Now. And this Thursday on Cult of Beardo, we will be discussing Sid. Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, the man, the master, the ruler of the world. So, guys, check him out. Head on over, follow us, subscribe, get that merchandise. But he is the Renegade. I'm the Ritt. See you guys next week on 6 Degrees of Ritt and Renegade.